Hey, what's going on? Welcome to this video. My name is Alif, and in this video, I'll be walking you through how you can start your own freelance content marketing business today. All right, so in this video, we'll be covering like literally everything. This is gonna be a mega video, so if you have any tabs open, make sure you close them because this is super important. All right, so we're gonna be covering everything from what kind of services to provide, how to do proposals and invoices, how to get clients, how to how to rate your services, how to price your services, like literally everything. So again, make sure you, my friend, are paying attention, and let's just jump right into it. All right, so part one is figuring out what type of service you want to provide. Now, if you're watching this channel, you're probably a marketer, so I'm going to be assuming that you want to start like a marketing freelance type of thing, whether it's creating content for social media, copywriting, website design, whatever it may be. I'm going to assume you're like that. But the truth is, when it comes to deciding what service you want to provide, you can kind of do anything. I kid you not, some of my highest paying clients, all I did was make presentations for them on Canva. That like stuff you probably already do, right? And those are some of my highest paying clients. So you know, you can get unique with what type of service you want to provide, but I'd recommend you dumb it down to 3 type of services, maximum 3. You can keep it to 1. 1 is okay itself, but don't go anything more than 3. And there are a couple of reasons why I'm telling you to get specific with 3 types of services, 1 to 3 type of services to provide for your clients. First, a big reason why you want to be specific with the services you want to provide is because you'll be more memorable. Imagine you're jumping on a sales call and you tell the person, hey, I do marketing freelance. And they're like, okay, what kind is that? Okay. And then they jump off the call with you and they don't even know what you do. But if you jump on the call with them and say, hey, I can help you write email copy for your email marketing campaigns, how does that sound to you? And then in their head, they'll be like, oh, okay, I actually need exactly that. So let me ask him a little bit more about what email stuff that he does. Or if you tell someone, hey, I actually create Instagram posts for solopreneurs and coaches and people who run their own solo business. And then that'll, you know, when you're on the call with them and they hear something like that, they're going to be like, okay, I actually need that. Let me actually follow up with you on this. Whereas if you say something like on the call, I do freelance marketing. Oh, what kind of marketing do you do? Oh, I just do freelance marketing. Okay, cool. I don't know if that's going to be helpful for me, but anyways, you can see how when we're broad with what we are offering, it's going to be less appealing and sticky for the person that we're trying to sell to. So when we're specific, we're going to be more memorable for the person that we're trying to sell to. And another point about when you're trying to select the service that you want to offer, make sure you're good at them. For me, I learned marketing because I used to be a career coach. If you go back to my YouTube videos, you can see a bunch of career coaching stuff. But I used to be a career coach, and a big part of why I liked the career coaching business was the marketing side. So I loved writing the email marketing, the landing pages, the content, the YouTubes and everything. I actually became a good marketer through running a career coaching business, and I was like, hey, I don't like career coaching, but I like marketing. Now that I have these skill sets, why don't I offer these skill sets to paying clients? And that's how I knew, okay, I can technically do this skill set. I've done it for myself. So what makes me like, why can't I just do it for someone else? And that's essentially how I figured out what kind of services I want to provide. Later on, as I went through my freelancing business and career, whatever you want to call it, I started getting a little more specific about the type of service I wanted to provide, because as I kept working with clients, I started figuring out, oh, I like this a little bit more, but I don't like when I do this, but I love doing this, all right? So again, be specific, max 3 type of services that you want to provide to your future clients. All right, so part 2. Okay, so now let's talk about, now that we know what type of service we want to provide to our clients, let's figure out the admin stuff, specifically the proposal process and the invoicing process. Let's start with the invoicing. The invoicing is pretty simple in my opinion. I use an application called Wave, and what I love about Wave is that I can create an invoice. It's very on brand, has my picture and my cute smile on it, and I can send the invoice in like a link format, and the person receiving the invoice can click the link and literally put in their credit card information, and then they can pay my invoice and I get money, and we're all trying to get money here, right? So I use Wave. I recommend you try them out. They're very easy to use, so do that. In terms of proposals, now let's dig a little deeper into the world of proposals. So here on the screen, let's see, over here, you can see what my proposal looks like. Nothing fancy. Literally, I kid you not, it is just a Google document. And what I do is, how this works is, first, let me actually explain the proposal. So you can see in the proposal at the top a picture of me, Elif Haq proposal, just to add like some sort of bouginess, to make me look somewhat official, right? Overview, the goal of this proposal is to give X an outline of the deliverables and services Elif will provide in order to help them. So this is just basically giving them an overview of what the purpose of the proposal. So this can sound anything like, if I have a client and I just got off call with them, they want to work with me, and I'm ready to send them a proposal. I'll change this template around so that I can include their information. So this overview section can sound anything like, the goal of this proposal is to give Joanna an outline of the deliverables and services Elif will provide in order to help them increase their online brand presence. Just like a general statement about what the hell am I even sending you? Why am I even sending you this, okay? Deliverables, and what I like to do underneath in the deliverables is list down exactly all the deliverables that I'll be sending their way, like that they're basically hiring me for. And the reason why we're doing this is because, let's say we're working together, right? And the client is like, oh, can you actually also help me with this? But the thing is, it's not in the scope of the project, right? So what you can now do is be like, hey, remember that proposal you looked at? Yeah. Did it say it included that work? No, it didn't. So I'm not going to be doing that. The key here is you want to prevent scope creep. And you want to be on the same line of expectation when it comes to what type of work that you will do for your client. And if they ever get any personal and be like, oh, why can't you just do that for me? What you can do is pull up the document and be like, hey, remember, we didn't agree to this. So now you're not the bad person. It was just a mutual document that you both agreed on. So that's essentially why it's so important to have a proposal, so that you're both on the same page. All right, so I'll have my deliverables, then I'll write my price. Honestly, it's nothing fancy. I'll just write the price, 850 USD, 500 USD, 1.2K, whatever it may be, right? And underneath it, I have my terms of agreements. Payment for this work will be taken full upfront at the start of the project. Again, we're trying to make sure the client is on the same page as us. All right. By agreeing to this proposal, you give Elif Haq permission to showcase the work he will complete for you on his personal portfolio, which will be seen by the public. Basically, I'm going to be showcasing the work I did for them on my personal portfolio so I can get more clients. Again, the idea here is to be on the same page as the client. All right, so next steps. If the content outlined in the proposal is approved, Elif will send you an invoice and calendar link to schedule the first project kickoff call. Why I included next steps is because then the client, when they're reviewing it, they're like, okay, cool, I'm good with the next steps. I'm on the same page. Let's move forward. Now, notice I don't have any crazy legal agreement and a 20-page document proposal that big branding agency would send. No, because I'm still a little scrappy. I imagine sending a client who's hiring me for $700 just to write some email sequences, and I send them a 20-page encyclopedia that requires 25 signatures. That's going to be very, very overwhelming for the client. And quite honestly, and I'm not a legal professional, but if you're charging someone $500 and are they really going to go out of their way to sue you? I mean, really think about that, right? So that's why I'm not really big into agreements with signatures and everything, unless you're working with NDAs or the client has NDAs that you need to sign. But on my side right now, since I'm very scrappy, I just kind of do the work. It's all based on trust. So trust that I'm not going to just take your money and totally run away with it, right? So that's the idea here, okay? That's why we have the proposal. So again, everyone is on the same page. And what I like to do with the proposal is I'll copy this template and I'll make the edits necessary for the client, specific for the client, and I'll send the Google Doc, a view version of the Google Doc to the client for them to review. So that way they can't edit it, but they can read the document, and it's a very seamless and easy process for me to continuously create proposals on the go. Again, nothing crazy fancy. If you're watching this, you're probably a beginner, and our goal as a beginner is to just start making money. So don't think too much about, I need a website, I need branding colors, I need all this. Truth is, you really don't. When I made my first $5,000 month as a freelancer, I didn't even have a proposal. I would send this proposal thing via like a Gmail, like email, essentially. I had no website or anything, and I had PayPal. Like, it was so scrappy. Again, don't overthink things. Our goal here is to execute, get clients, serve them, and make money. Cool. Now that we have figured out like the invoicing software, which is again Wave, and then the whole proposal, next we need to figure out our pricing. There are 3 strategies I'd recommend you go about when it comes to pricing. I do have my preferences, but let me list down each of the 3. First is what I call, and this is I don't know if this is gonna be a good way to figure out your pricing. It kind of works for me, but I call it the resentful rule. So imagine you're working on the client's project on a Friday night when all your friends ask you to hang out, but you're there by yourself and you have to work on the client's stuff. Now ask yourself, if you were in that position, how much would you have to be paid so that you do not feel resentful towards the client? And then from there, dictate your pricing around that, okay? Because I've been there so many times where especially when I'm first starting off, man, I was writing resumes for $20 and I was spending like 5 hours making sure it was perfect and everything, doing revisions for $20. It was so bad, and I started feeling so resentful towards clients and people and friends and others who wanted my help. And I realized it's not worth doing work if you're going to feel resentful. So that's one way you can figure out your pricing. Again, very straightforward. It's nothing crazy technical or all that, especially if you're a beginner. Our goal is just to start landing clients and make our first like $100, $1,000, $2,500, whatever it may be, right? So that's one rule you can go with. Second rule is what I call the McDonald's rule. So let's say a client wants to hire you to create 10 Instagram posts, and you know roughly that the 10 Instagram posts will take you 3 hours, and you give a price to the client. Now divide the price by 3 hours, and then from there ask yourself, does it make more sense for me right now to work at McDonald's or take this client? You know, and if it makes more sense to work at McDonald's because you'll be paid better at McDonald's, then obviously you increase your rates or don't take on the project or whatever it may be, right? So that's my second rule. I call it the McDonald's rule. It sounds pretty bad, right? But you gotta make money somehow. Anyways, the third way you can figure out how to go about your pricing, and this is a little more technical, is first figure out how many hours you want to work in a week. Let's say it's about 20 hours, right? And then try to have a goal for how much money you'd have to you want to make per month, okay? Or let's say, keep it simple, let's say per week. So you want to work 20 hours and you want to make $5,000 for that week. From there, you need to figure out how much do I need to charge hourly to make $5,000 a week. I'm not even going to try to do the math because I feel like I'm just going to mess it up, especially in front of a camera. But from there, you'll get an idea for how much you'll need to charge hourly or per project basis or whatever it may be. That's another way you can go about pricing. For me, I don't like charging hourly. It just feels too sketchy. Like you might like work on a project longer than it needs to be. It's just way too much like sketchiness that might happen. So for me, I like to go based on like a project, like, hey, you need this work done? Okay, cool. This is how much it's going to cost you, and I give my best effort and make sure I deliver 120%. That's how I personally like to do it. So if it's like a big project that has a lot of money, anywhere upwards of $1,200, $1,500, maybe even $2,000, then I'll split the pricing or the invoicing in 2 halves. So first half up front and the second half at the end of the project. That's the world of pricing, my friend. The world of pricing. Cool. Now, at this point, you have your documentations and invoicing softwares figured out. You know exactly what type of service you want to provide, and you know your pricing. But let's take a step back and let's look at this from a holistic perspective. Let's say you're about to get a client. What does the process of client acquisition all the way to the delivery of the deliverables look like? Okay, so again, remember, we're taking a step back right now. So this is how it's generally going to be. You'll get on a call with the client and then try to understand their needs for the project, which I'll go later on into the video. If it is good, You ask them for their budget on the call, by the way. And if it sounds good to you, then what you'll do is after the call, you'll send a link to the proposal that we created that outlines the deliverables and the price. From there, you follow up with the client. Hey, Mr. and Miss Client, does this sound reasonable to you? And if they say yes, what you do is, great, here's a link to the invoice, and here's a link to a calendar to book our project kickoff call. Basically, a 1 hour call where you're about to kick off the project and get everything you need from their end. Okay. So you probably need like a calendar function as well. I'd recommend you check out Calendly. Calendly is pretty good. For me nowadays, what I do is I'll send the invoice over, but I'll also list down a range of dates and times in the email for when I'm free for a kickoff call. Why? Because this is bad, it's gonna sound bad, but sometimes I get too lazy to update my Calendly and everything, so I'd rather just like look at my calendar, be like, okay, I'm free here, I'm free here, I'm free here. Here are the time slots I'm free, now go ahead and book. But check out Calendly if you want calendar scheduling software. And the free version is more than enough. Okay, great. So now I give you an idea of how the overall process will look like. Now let's talk about sales and getting customers, my favorite part. So the first way I'd recommend you try to land clients, let's say you're creating Instagram posts. That's your specialty, to create Instagram posts, and you figured out like, you want to have a package of 15 Instagram posts for $500 or something, okay? Next, what you want to do is this is what I did. This is what worked for me. And keep in mind, I don't go to Fiverr or Freelancer or Upwork, none of that, because I feel like that's a race to the bottom. And it's basically a game of who's the cheapest wins. And I don't know about you, but I'm sick of doing cheap work and feeling underpaid and undervalued. I don't do that shit no more. So instead, this is what I do. And this is how I get more higher, better paying clients. Okay, so I would literally DM everyone that I know who generally has something going for their lives, whether they run a business, whether they're well connected, whether they're a leader in the community or something. And I DM them with a voice note and I say, hey, Joanne, it's been a while since we talked about XYZ, whatever it is. I'm right now offering freelance services. Specifically, I'm offering service 1, 2, or 3. And I was just wondering if you happen to know anyone who would need these services. If you do, I'd love if you can connect me with them. And if you don't, that's totally cool. And just send out this exact voice note on repeat to all your friends who have things going for them, or anyone in your warm network, any professor, any like business owner, any manager, leader, any marketer, whatever it may be. The more messages you send out, the more likely you'll be able to land a client. Okay, so that's like the first route of getting a client. From there, let's say they connect you with someone, then go on a sales call with them, and let's go talk about the sales call now. So now you got connected by someone, and now you're on a sales call. This is generally what you want to do during the sales call. It's very straightforward, especially for like a freelancing business. I find when you're a freelancer, there's like implied expertise, meaning if you say I'm a freelance copywriter, they assume you're an expert copywriter. Whereas if you're like a coach and you're trying to sell B2C, it's kind of hard to convince someone like, hey, trust me, my coaching program is worth $2,500. Anyways, that's a whole different video in itself. So you're on the sales call with them, and the first thing you need to figure out is, first you want to build rapport with them. Hey, how are you? How do you know this person? Make sure you send good vibes, because people want to work with people they feel comfortable, like, know, and trust. And if you go on sales call all nervous and scared, and like you look like you don't know what you're doing, or you feel like they think you're a scammer, like people will literally sense these little things during the call, especially the Zoom call. So try to make sure you build a good rapport, because you just smiling will go a long way. So first, build rapport. How are you? What's going on? How do you know this person? All that good stuff. From there, ask them a little bit about their project, what they're trying to do, what their goals are, what role does it play in the business, what kind of problems does it solve for them, and really dissect why they need the project done. From there, try to understand, okay, now that I have a good idea of what this project is about, can I actually help them? And if the answer is yes, be like, okay, perfect, sounds good. It seems like this is something I can definitely help you out with, Mr. or Miss Client. Can I ask what your budget is for this work? And what they'll do is they'll be like, well, our budget's anywhere from blah, blah, blah to blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool, sounds good. And if it's too low, tell them, like, I'll be honest with you, Mr. or Miss Client. It seems like your budget is under my range of pricing, so it doesn't seem like it'd be a good fit for you right now. Is there anything I can do to make it easier for you? and they might say like, okay, fine, I'll pay half here or whatever it may be. Okay. I'm not gonna go into sales objections or anything, but if it doesn't feel like a fit for you, feel free to decline them and be like, hey, it doesn't seem like it's a good fit for us right now, but I can refer you to someone else if their budget doesn't seem to be aligned to what you're charging. All right, so let's go. Let's say hypothetically you go on the call, you build a report, you ask them about the project, you ask them about their budget, everything seems good from there. What you want to say is, great, awesome, Mr. and Ms. Client, what I'll do is I'll send you a proposal right after this call. You have a quick skim of the proposal, and if everything in the proposal looks good to you, then we'll go ahead and work together moving forward. How does it sound? They'll be like, yeah, perfect, sounds good. And the great part about this is, because you're freelancing, it doesn't feel salesy. Like I find out when I was in the coaching world and I had to sell to consumers, not other businesses, there's always a sense of like trying to close them and doing sales tactics and all this weird stuff. But now that when you freelance, it's assumed you're gonna pay. People are gonna pay. It's assumed that you're a business, so therefore you must charge something, right? It's just a very different dynamic. Anyway, that's a whole nother video in itself. So at this point, you got off the call, you send them a link to your proposal, and if they say it's good, then you send them a link to the invoice and the calendar to book the project kickoff call. That is essentially it. Now let's backtrack a little bit. We said to send off DMs to get clients, right? But what if you run out of clients to reach out to? That's when you'll need to do what career coaches call informational interviews. So let's say your niche is helping small business owners, specifically coaches, or let's say specifically Pinterest consultants, or people who run restaurants, or whatever it may be. The goal now for you is to fill your pipeline with more people that you can eventually reach out to. So for you, the sales game then becomes reaching out to people just to literally learn about what they do, get in a conversation with them, build a network with them. And the key here is you ask them about themselves, get them talking, be very curious about them, ask them smart questions, and eventually during the conversation, they're going to ask you, oh, what do you do? And then you can say, well, I do freelance, and specifically I write email copy and create social media posts, and I also do some website design. And they'll be like, oh, well, actually, I need that. Let me get your contact. How do we, let's book a call. Let's book a call, right? Right? Notice how it doesn't feel so salesy. You just basically go on a call with someone, just like a friendly chat, and you wait till they ask you, so what do you do? Then you bring up what you do, and they'll be like, oh, I need that. And the great thing is, people are gonna go with someone they like, know, and trust rather than a stranger off the internet. So now that you planted the idea that you offer XYZ service, the next time when they're doing their business or whatever, that they need someone for social media marketing, they'll think of you because you actually spoke with them, you had a good vibe with them over the call, and they like, know, and trust you. And that's what's going to keep you on their radar compared to some complete stranger off of Fiverr. Genius, huh? Anyways, that's like a whole different beast of a video in itself. If you want to see that video, let me know down below in the comments of this video. Anyways, there you have it, my friend. How to start your own freelance marketing business from scratch, especially if you're a beginner. I gotta tell you, man, once you learn how to make money on your own and you don't have to rely on a job, there's such a sense of liberation to knowing that, hey, if I ever lose my job, fuck it, man. I'll just make my own money. That's exactly what I did, and honestly, it's so good to know you have a skill set that can make you money on demand if you put in the work. It's so liberating, and my goal is to help you feel that exact same way that I felt. Because once you make your first $100, you'll be like, oh my God! Then you'll make your first 500, then you'll make your first 1,000, then you'll make your first $2,000, and it's like, wow, I can do this. And then it just becomes a freaking game. It's so freaking addictive, man. So I want you to feel the same way. So if you again enjoyed this video, let me know down below in the comment section, subscribe to this channel, and of course follow me on social media. My name is Alif, my friend, and I will see you in the next video.